Greetings, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. It is your girl, Creatrix, okay? And today is, like always, a very interesting topic, okay? I didn't know what to talk about today for a very long time, up until right before I clicked the camera on. But I knew that I was supposed to do a video, right? So I'm like, what do y'all want me to talk about? What should I talk about today? And they sent me a song. So all of a sudden this song popped in my head, and I know y'all know the song, all right? If you don't, it's okay, go look it up. But it's called Pony by Genuine, all right? Yeah, y'all know it, okay? My pony, or my saddle's waiting, coming, jump on it, let's do it, ride it, my pony. Okay, yeah, that one. And first of all, I do want to say that this message is okay for children. It's okay for anybody to hear, all right, of any age, because I think that we don't talk to young people enough about this topic of intimacy, okay? I'm talking about physical intimacy, the union between a man and a woman, all right? Or just intimacy in general between any two people that is physical, romantic, all right? That's specifically what I want to talk about. So they wanted me to make it a fun video and do a reading on, a love that's gonna come in. And I'm like, I've done a reading like that because obviously somebody wants you, somebody finds you very juicy, attractive, stimulating, okay, aesthetically pleasing. Somebody wants to do some things to you, like the song says, okay? And you could be somebody who's on a celibacy journey, or somebody who's keeping the goods real tight, okay? Real guarded, right? Whether you consider yourself a feminine or a masculine energy, you are somebody who is very protective over your sexual energy at this time, okay? You're not sharing it all willy-nilly, right? And that's a very good thing. So they wanted me to do this whole, you know what I'm saying, a reading on sexual energy and who's coming in for you and lovers and stuff. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna make this a practical video, right? I'm not always a serious person, but I feel like if I'm gonna get on here, I want to enlighten, I want to inspire other people, okay? I don't just want to read about a future person that's coming in that's gonna make you feel amazing and great, even though that is true. So yeah, just know that there's somebody coming into your life that finds you very attractive, that wants to put it on you, that wants you to put it on them, okay? But I'm going to use this opportunity to talk about romantic relationships in terms of our spiritual path, our spiritual destinies, the game, this matrix, okay? And why romantic partnerships are so important, and the role that intimacy plays in our spiritual growth, okay? Romantic, physical intimacy, right? So I'm sure you've all heard of the term twin flames, okay? Some of us are on twin flame journeys, some of us are on soulmate journeys, and this just means that at some point in your life, you will be rewarded with a person who matches your energy. Now, this person is going to come in when you're on a very high level in this game. This person isn't just going to come in, at any random point in your life, okay? You're going to have to experience karmic relationships, most likely before you get to the forever person, okay? You're going to have to experience people who teach you, who mirror your actions, your traumas, your insecurities to you before you are able to fix yourself, right? And go on a spiritual journey to become whole again, in order to meet with another person who is also whole, all right? And you guys will make two wholes, right? It'll be double. Instead of you just being half of yourself and you find another half, it's not enough, right? It's not enough. The relationship, you're not going to have enough to pour into that person, and they're not going to have enough to pour into you. And that's why karmic relationships usually end up in turmoil, or you end up parting ways, all right? It's temporary, because these people are just in our lives to show us what we need to work on, right? And that brings me to the idea of that, in religion, often this idea of being virgins, or especially for women specifically, we are not meant to share our bodies or open ourselves up to the opposite sex or the same sex or whatever you are into, right? In terms of religion, right? But in the real world, okay, in the way that this matrix works, when we are brought into this realm, right, as children, when we are born into this world is extremely sexualized already, right? And especially for chosen people, the people who are purposely placed in positions where they are vulnerable, where their caregivers might be their worst enemies, right? We are not taught to not share our body with people who do not value them, right? And so for most of us, for a lot of us in this realm, we experience early acts of intimacy, okay? And it can be forced, right? It can be SA, it can be abuse, right? But also it can be us not feeling worthy enough and giving ourselves away to people who don't deserve us, right? In terms of physical intimacy. And so it's very hard for us to keep up or maintain this idea of virginity in this world because we do make mistakes. People lie, and I'm sure whether you're a man or a woman, you've encountered somebody who's lied to you, or maybe they're not even lying. Maybe they honestly want to be with you, but they don't have the capacity for true commitment, for longevity. And so, and then we get love bombers and narcissists, and people just want to get in your pants, and we end up giving ourselves away in order to be able to learn not to give ourselves away. Because most of the time, even if you do have parents that tell you off rip, or caregivers or adults in your life that tell you the truth and they say, hey, keep it to yourself, sometimes there's curiosity, or like I said, there are parts of us that don't feel worthy enough to keep to not share that energy with people, right? So there's curiosity, and then there's like low self-worth. And not saying that everybody who has physical intimacy with people has low self-worth. I'm just saying that there are so many reasons other than knowing yourself as to why we give ourselves away freely, right? Because usually people who know themselves, who have confidence in themselves, who find themselves worthy and whole, they don't feel the need to give up that part of them, right? Because they're also disciplined. With people who don't show them a certain standard, right? A certain value, right? So most likely we've all had a hoe phase. Let's just keep it real. We've all had a hoe phase. All right. And when I say hoe phase, I don't mean you have to have slept with so many people, or, I'm not talking about body count. What I'm talking about is we've all had that period in life especially when we first start playing the game, right? In our earlier years, where we give up our reproductive organs, our sacral energy, to people who do not deserve it, all right? To people who are not permanent in our lives, right? And so this idea that we should maintain our virginity, and if you don't maintain your virginity, that you're somehow a whore, or you're dirty, or this and that idea is simply for the control and fear of the people that are using that concept to their advantage, right? Because we all know that that's an impossible standard in this day and age, right? Unless you really have, like I said, unless you really have adults around you, and a culture and a society, a community around you that supports that virtue. All right. And to be honestly speaking, even though in truth, in the eye of spirituality, it's okay to experience sex. It's okay to have to learn the lesson the hard way, through trial and error, through experience, right? However, in all honesty, keeping your cookie to yourself off rip is going to save you a lot of unnecessary pain and suffering. Okay. Yes, the act itself is pleasurable, and there is a meaning to it, there is a need for it, right? But if you can keep it to yourself, if you can keep that cookie or that, the goods to yourself for the person who is actually meant for you, you can harness that sacral energy that sacral sexual energy and divert it or channel it into so many different things that will benefit you in the long run, if that makes sense. Okay, and that's why maintaining our integrity, all right, let's just say it that way, maintaining our integrity in terms of our sacral chakra energy, in terms of our reproductive system, in terms of our energy, right, which are all valuable things that can be siphoned or tapped into if we perform the act of intimacy with the other person. We are opening ourselves up to the other person and whatever attachments they have, right, when we do that act, right? So we could save ourselves that heartbreak, that trouble, by that energy to ourselves and abstaining from that act and channeling the energy, right? The need, the want, the desire for that act, and channel it into other areas in our life to create the life that we want. However, it is what it is. In order to learn that concept in the first place, the fact that it's better to keep it to yourself, we probably had to go through a lot of heartbreak and a lot of trial and error, and it just is what it is. And there's no judgment for that. Like, there's no sky daddy who is looking down upon us saying you're sinning for having sex, or it's a sin to, there's no, like, the punishment for that is immediate. Like, you will, when you're with somebody and you give yourself up to that person, you give a part of you to that person, whether you're a man or a woman. Let me make that clear. This goes for men and women, okay? When you give yourself up to somebody who does not really value you, or who is not ready for commitment, or at least to commit to you, then you will feel that. Your subconscious will feel that on a certain level, and it will chip away at your soul. It will chip away at your confidence, at your happiness, all of that, okay? Not even to mention the dynamic that you have with someone outside of intimacy, right? How do you all communicate? How do you all get along? Are you compatible in that way? And I guarantee you, even if the sex is good, you feel terrible about it afterwards, or it's like chipping at your soul slowly and you feel something is wrong and all that, and the other parts of the relationship are not working as well, like to where you guys don't really communicate well, it's toxic, it's drama and all of that stuff. You're signaling to your body every time you lay down with that person, you're signaling to your body that your body doesn't matter, and your body begins to detach from you. Okay, you begin to experience numbness, right? And then it leaves a void. And sometimes we don't realize it until we have an insatiable appetite for intimacy, because we feel that that void needs to be filled with by somebody else, right? That void becomes a big hole that we try to continuously fill by trying on more and more people. And that's how some of us get a body count. Some of us get a high body count because we're trying to fill a void that only we ourselves can fill for us, right? That void might be spirituality, it might be confidence, it might be self-love, it might be self-care, but a lot of us get confused and we feel that the void can be filled by another human being. Okay, it could even be mommy issues or daddy issues. Maybe you grew up with a caregiver, a mother figure or a father figure who didn't complete you, or who didn't pour into you the way that you expected or wanted to. And so we look for that person in our romantic partners. And then when that relationship doesn't work out, then we move on to the next one. And when they can't fill the shoes, we move on to the next one. And then all of a sudden, we have so many different attachments, so many different lessons that we want to learn, so much baggage that we're carrying from these romantic relationships, and we don't know how we got there, right? And we dig ourselves into a deeper and deeper hole. So when you are in karmic energy, all right, when you are an NPC, when you're not playing the game, when you have not gotten out of victim mentality, when you are still struggling in life, right, and resisting change, resisting evolution in life, then my gosh, it is so imperative that you just don't even do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, just don't even get down with anybody. I know we have needs, I know we have wants, but you're going to take care of yourself, because And even that can be an issue. Like self-pleasure can also become an addiction, right? If we do it too much, and it can also become a distraction. So like really practicing discipline when it comes to that area in our lives, to where we can like survive and be okay if we do not have that type of intimacy, or better yet, give that intimacy to ourselves in a different form other than self-pleasure. You will find that you will start to recycle your sacral creative energy, and it will start to work for you. Okay, when you're not just freely giving it away because you have no control over it, and you start harnessing it and using it for your own benefit to make that moolah, that bread, okay, or accomplish whatever other goals that you have, you are going to see yourself flourish. And by like, you're going to even forget about that part of life, like concentrating on sustaining relationships with toxic people, and being codependent on other people's energies, right? You're going to forget about all of that. You're going to even forget about the fact that you have you know intimacy needs, or physical intimacy needs, right? And you're going to start to naturally focus that energy on bettering yourself, and then bam, somebody who is for you, somebody who's on your level, somebody who like not fulfills you but adds to your fulfillment, all right, because they themselves are fulfilled, and y'all can just live a fulfilling life together. That person is going to walk into your life when you least expect it, and you are going to be ready to receive that energy, okay? Because a lot of us in karmic energy, right, when we're in survival mode, we cannot receive that type of love, okay? And I'm sure there's instances where some of us have been in karmic energy, but we've met somebody who is actually ready to commit, actually ready to give, have a balanced give and take, where someone is actually a great communicator, a great lover, compatible with us, right? But we ourselves, we can't receive it because we're in karmic energy, right? And then we fumble the bag, we fumble that person. And there are so many people in this world that regret that one person that they fumbled, right? So what the universe does is, the universe will not present you with your true love, with your true forever person, right? Until you are ready to receive it, until you have accomplished certain milestones in your journey, right? In this game. Because to have partnered up with someone who is your forever person, that is a reward. That is not a right that we have. That is a luxury that we earn through this game. Because when you partner with someone who is your true better half, your true match, your true equal, there are things that happen scientifically, spiritually, right? There's changes that happen within our body. We open up whole new portals to receive a different level of beings onto this plane. So the souls that, and not to be rude, not to be offensive, but the souls that come into this realm via karmic relationships versus souls that come into this realm via twin flame or true soulmate connections that are ordained by the universe are very different. They're very different. And that's not to say lesser or greater. That's not to say one is lesser or greater, okay? That's just to say the quality at which they begin. It's kind of like when you're running a marathon, right? What do they call it when the track stars, right, in the Olympics and stuff, when they run a marathon and they're handing each other the baton? It's kind of like that, right? So when you have a family lineage where one person, right, like let's say there's your family lineage, and your family lineage has a bunch of generational curses, and thus far nobody in your family is strong enough to break it, or has realized how to break it, or they haven't figured out the puzzle, right? But here you come along and you're a chosen one, and you're able to break these generational curses. You work very hard, you're very strong, you develop yourself mentally, spiritually, physically, and you finally get to a place where you can have a true partner, a true soulmate, or a true twin flame, right, that matches your energy, and you guys open up a new portal together through the physical intimacy, right? You open up this portal for new players to come in, right? So it's kind of like you are handing the baton to forever, and this baton that you hand to this next player, right? Like the children that you bring into this realm, which are really high level souls. These souls are going to continue carrying the baton of your family lineage to where almost nobody will be able to like break you guys down again. Nobody will be able to take the crown off of your head for a very, very, very long time, until there comes a time where we need to learn new lessons again. Okay, because this is a cyclical energy, but I'm talking about your family is going to be on the throne for like thousands of years, right? And because of this process, because your children, the children that you have, because you have overcome this game, you have won this game, right? Your children will then know to wait for their true person once they get to a certain level, and they will give birth to also high level souls, right? And so on and so forth. So hopefully that makes sense, because the souls that come into family lineages who are already at a certain level are souls that have already learned all of the lessons that they need in the previous levels, and they only need to continue on those levels, if that makes sense, right? Because this realm, you don't need to come to this realm to relearn everything that you already know. All right, pretty much only the Most High does that. The Most High is the only one who comes back here because the Most High needs to clear the energy. All right, and there actually not only the Most High, but there are 2 to 3 souls on this plane, on this earth realm, that come back and start at ground zero, because they are meant to clean up the energy. Okay, they're disguised in karmic energy, so they have to redo it. But for the most part, souls who have already reached a certain level, they want to start at that level and continue forward. Okay, continue, because there's no limit to this earth realm. There's no final level. You just keep going and keep going, keep going and keep going. Okay, that's how the game is designed. And actually, as you keep going, it's when the game configures and reconfigures and new things happen, right? So as we expand, so does this earth realm game, so does the universe, right? And it's a self-organizing, self-sustaining system, to where when we evolve and rise up, that's when the new level is created, if that makes any sense. So there are levels to this game that don't even exist yet, because nobody's reached them yet. But as we reach them, as we continue to grow, then the game or the universe configures these new levels. And so like it's crazy, like we don't, like there's the spiritual realm, we don't even know what the earth is going to look like until somebody reaches certain levels, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's a really cool, very sophisticated, complex game. And this is what it means to be alive. Like AI, right? Every AI can create from the foundation that we give it, right? But to be alive, to be a living organism, means to create until infinity. You don't need a foundation. You can start from scratch and things will unveil or reveal themselves naturally. That's what being alive, that's what having true consciousness is. Okay, because AI, it can create, but it will always have a limit. It will always live in the box that we put around it, right? But for us, true consciousness, right, that is natural, has no limits. It has no limits. So I hope that is making sense. And for those of you that are wondering, like, should I give my body away freely? Should I, experience physical intimacy the way I want to? The answer is there is a need for discipline, okay? And I know a lot of us don't want to hear that. There are people in the spiritual community that think that they can anything, right? And everything just for the experience and no. Okay. I mean, you are more than welcome to do it, but you will learn that that's going to lead to a dead end in this game. Okay. That's going to lead to you going in circles and circles and circles. All right. So, yeah, there is a need to be disciplined in terms of physical intimacy. There's a need to be disciplined in all areas of life. But since we're talking about physical intimacy, it is better to keep the goods to yourself. Okay, but like I said again, a lot of us need to learn that the hard way. A lot of us aren't told, there's not structure for us, right? A lot of us are kind of left here, especially chosen ones. A lot of us are left to fend to ourselves and figure shit out ourselves, which is okay. There's no punishment to giving yourself away other than the punishment that we put on ourselves, right? There's nobody judging us. There's no such thing as sin, right? We're not carrying the burdens of our forefathers just because, Adam and Eve did it, right? So yeah, like, I guess that's my message, is just to keep the goodies to yourself. And when you find that person that is for you, that's when you can unleash the beast. Okay, because one thing is for sure, two things for certain: the universe, the most high, the powers that be, the entities, everybody loves them some okay? There is nothing wrong with physical intimacy. Like, it's just that you need to find the right person to do it with. All right? It's not beneficial to lust over everything and everyone that you see. All right? But when you find that person, oh baby, oh baby, go ham. Go ham, all right? Make some damn babies. Make some babies, multiply, be fruitful, all that good stuff, right? Like, get freaky, get nasty, have fun. You earned it, right? Because at that point, you earned it. But when you're in karmic energy and your money ain't right, you're not feeling good about yourself, you're confused about your spiritual gifts, you're not listening to your intuition, no, you do not deserve the pleasure of intimacy during that time, because you got work to do. You got work to do, all right? Like, let's keep it real. That song, Sir, for those of y'all that listen to Sir, mood, okay? I ain't in the mood if I ain't in my bag. I ain't in the mood if I ain't in my bag. Do anything for the cash. Do anything for the cash, okay? Like, look that song up if you don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, basically, like, you shouldn't be focused on that unless everything else is situated, and then the universe will present you with someone. You don't have to go looking for them. The universe is going to bring y'all together. All right, in the meantime, you keep it right, you keep it tight. All right, and I don't care. This is for people who are done with having babies. This is for people who are not of childbearing age. It don't matter. It don't matter. Okay, that act is more than just bringing children into this world. That act is very sacred. And when you find that one person, that forever person to do that act with, to have physical intimacy with, it's going to be extremely healing for you. It's not only to bring souls into this realm, it's not only to get pregnant, or it's not only to have children, it's actually to reconfigure your DNA. Your DNA, your whole body will change and shift, especially with that right person. Now that already happens on a certain level when we're in karmic energy and we're with temporary people. That happens with them too. But when you're with the right person, it's like a lock and a key, right? You are, I'm sure all of y'all know about the Kundalini energy, right? That rises up through the spine and it hits the third eye and it goes up the crown chakra and boom, right? It's that energy that is unlocked when you have physical intimacy with the correct person. And most of us have at least one person that will be our person. At least one, maybe two, okay? But no more than two at the most, all right? So in order to earn that person, you gotta do what you need to do, all right? And that's connect with your spirit guides, connect with your ancestors, heal your trauma, evolve, grow, all right? Take care of that first. Be patient, be disciplined enough to focus on those things instead of lusting after people who are temporary anyway, who are going to distract you from the real part of the game. All right. So yeah, that is the message. All right. I love you all so very much. I hope this made sense. Let me know if you have any comments or questions, or if you got something to add, let me know in the comment section. I love you all so very much. Consider adding me on all of my socials that I put up on the screen. All right, and I will see you in the next video. Love y'all so very much. Okay, can't wait to jump on that pony one day. I know somebody's feeling that. Hallelujah, amen. Until then, keep it tight. All right, love you all. Peace. Creatrix out.